Morning everyone, happy Sunday. John and Kelly asked me to give you some tips and updates on what's happening with regards support from the government around the coronavirus, particularly for businesses. I want to couch this by saying I am not an accountant, I am not a finance specialist, and I am not a HR specialist. So the best advice really is to seek advice from your accountant or your HR specialist. So what I'm doing is sharing with you the advice that I've had from my accountants, Bradley Chilvers Limited, and also from a specialist financial provider for small businesses called Red Sky. If anyone want their details, I can obviously pass them on to you, but I'm sure you've probably all got your own specialists that help you. So I'm starting with the sort of generic advice and information that's come out from Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson. I'm going to put in the post below some links for you to the government websites. There are already scam emails, scam Facebook posts that are going about. Do not click on any links from anybody that you've not requested information from. There are obviously, in these times, plenty of people out there doing great things to support each other, but as we know, there is always the people who show the worst behaviours in these times. So everything's fluid, there's stuff happening daily, and these links are being kept up to date. So that is your best view from the point going forward. There is something that you probably all heard of, or never heard of actually, called furlough. It's actually an American term, not usually used in the UK. And this is where people are and businesses are thinking that you can get 80% of your staff salaries paid, which you can, but there are some really, really important things that you need to think about with that. So your staff, if you put them on furlough, are not working from home indefinitely, but what you are doing is retaining their job for them. So they must be able to come back to work as soon as you are able to bring them back to work. They're not able, whilst on furlough, to be doing any work at all. They must not pick up a phone, they must not do any work on any social media or marketing or any emails at all, and it's really important that you stick to this. Also, it's really important that if you're going to put your staff on furlough, that you take HR advice and that you follow the rules and regulations around employment law. The employment law does not change, and you must follow the rules. So you might have to, for instance, first of all, look at the contracts that all of your staff have got, and they may need to be amended in order for you to pursue furlough. You also must put your staff onto at least 30 days consultation, and this is a consultation with your employees. So make sure that you do get proper advice on this, because if you don't, you could end up in employment tribunal, and that is likely to cost you at least £7,000 a person. So none of us want to be going there. It's not there to catch us out, but you know, I know what it's like as a small business owner. We don't know these things, and that's why we need specialist advisors. So that's the first thing. The 80% of normal pay will be up to a maximum of £2,500 per month. And obviously that will be, there'll be the ability for HMRC to check all of that data anyway. And obviously if you use an accountant, they'll be able to check that as well. This does not extend to 0-hour contracts. There are other options for employees on 0-hour contracts, and they may be that they have to go and sign on and get universal credit for the moment. There is going to be a new HMRC portal created for this, We're not sure if that's going to be through doing your normal individual payroll or whether it'll be through your accountant's online portal. Who knows? Everything is being updated as we speak. They're not expecting payments under this to start happening until at least the end of April. You will need to cover your staff's payments until then. Now, obviously, if situations are the point where you just don't think that the business can continue, then you would have to look at redundancy. And again, there needs to be a term of consultancy, and you need to think about getting HR advice for that. In the need for short-term cash flow injection, they've brought out the coronavirus business interruption loan scheme, offering a first 12 months of interest-free. This is, however, a loan, and there are requirements around this, and it's not as simple and as straightforward as it first may seem. I will send out a separate note on the requirements for that, and then the best thing for that is to start talking to your either existing banks or lenders, but there are other specialist loan interruption scheme providers that I will send you a link to as well. So these things may change in the coming days and weeks. Updates are made regularly. I think these announcements are being made, and then the civil servants are in the background sort of putting stuff into place afterwards. So as I said, the best advice is to speak to your accountant or your HR consultant advisor in terms of making sure that you go for everything that you're entitled to and able to, and that you do things in the right and proper way. You are still required to look after your staff, and that is something that just won't change. So best advice is to make sure you're in constant contact with your team if they are working from home. If they're showing signs of coronavirus, then they really need to be pointed in the direction of NHS 111. You really ought to make sure that you're advising them to contact that and to report back to you what has been said to them. And staff working from home who are not able to work because they're sick, they should be put on sick pay. Staff who are working from home and not able to work properly because they're now looking after children, you may need to look at taking them down to a number of hours where they are able to work. This isn't for small businesses to be paying for people who are at home who can't work. Our work situation, if you are working from home, your targets shouldn't change and the work requirements should not change. If it does need to, again, you need to go into consultation and you should be getting HR advice. I really hope this helps. Sorry it's such a long garbled message, but hopefully it's going to give you a little bit of information and some places for you to go and get some further advice and support if you need it. Speak to you soon.